what was going on back then if somebody that could tap into the record to tell us. All of it, everybody trying to make the Bible fit America. The Bible is after the fact, an afterthought. Everything had to be geared to the control measure. Now we so addicted to biblical information and it's so saturated throughout all of our studies that not only are we from a Europeanized Afrocentric origin of everything, but we also have a religious biblical reference. And none of that stuff has ever been proven true.
That's right.
Right? But you can still see the geometry in there. You can still see the astrology and the astronomy in there. But you don't take 500-year-old information and apply it to something that's 5,000 years old. It don't apply.
Go ahead.
It had to be some adjustments made to first find what is the parallels and what is the differences. So you do a comparative analysis. What they have back then that we don't have now, what do we have now that they didn't have back then? When you start trying to understand what's taking place in those civilizations, you start to realize that, wait a minute, all of this stuff is told to us with a control measure as the foundation of why they even telling it to us.
That's right.
As soon as we start looking at the world outside of the lens of the Bible, the whole world look different. Don't look the same. And then the longer you're looking at it out of a non-Christian, Hebrew, or Islamic lens, and you look and you like, somebody lying.
Right.
You just get a foreboding feeling that somebody is not telling the truth. And all of these finds, these discoveries, they're not new discoveries, but the information is just now reaching what we call mainstream recognition.
Right.
Right? Because now people pulling out the old textbooks, the books from 1800s and 1700s, gathering information. That's some hard stuff to read, but the information is valuable if you want to understand what's taking place today. Right? Because before they decided to go with the caste system, they was going with a military conquest. They was losing, so they had to switch the game up.
Hey, now let me roll this one right here because you said something about the map switch. I think this one attests to the maps being switched around. Bible story, the Bible, even if you read it correctly, even alludes to the fact that, hey, this is the old land. This is the ancient land. This is where Adam and Eve, so the so-called first person and first man. And then we already. What about the Arab Perry? Why we already found that was over here. So could you go in like a little bit on that the Garden of Eden, the Y chromosome, the Adam and Eve scenario thing?
Well, we know people was made over here because the signature carbon of corn is in all of the people.
Go ahead.
And like I told you earlier, the Popol Vuh said we was made from maize. Maize is corn.
Go ahead.
So look, the reason why I try to steer away from the biblical narrative is because I know what the book is for and what it was intended to do. Right? And I know about things that was translated and added after the fact that they say that it didn't happen.
Right.
Right. So I don't really, biblical information to me is like comics. Using the comic book for a reference.
That's funny.
But a lot of that stuff still have some validity to it. It's just that it don't mean what we think it means. It ain't talking about what we think it's talking about. And the names have all been changed.
Right.
You know, so
that's funny, man. Because I heard somebody say one time and they made a good analogies, and I said, man, that's because he was debating a Christian, right? And the Christian was saying it's good stuff. It's good stuff in this book, right? And he was saying, well, it's like this, man. He made a good analogy. He said, man, if it was some good, like you like salad, right? He said, if it was some good lettuce inside of the trash can, and would you dig it out and eat it? And the dude was like, heck nah. He's like, well, that's the same as the Bible. It's got some good stuff in it. Yeah, it got some good stuff in it, but it's like digging it out the trash. It's like it's already it's contaminated. It could be contaminated. The good stuff could be contaminated because it's inside of the trash. So,
well, yeah, the reason the Bible written the way it's written is to draw on your genetic memory without waking you up, to convince you to follow a narrative. The Quran is a spinoff of the Bible. It's what we call the sequel. Right? It was designed to control the temperament of the people native in the Middle East. They couldn't control them. They used to call them the people, the demons of the flame. It's what the Chaldean. Nobody gonna never translate the word Chaldean in the English for you. They'll tell you they don't know what it means.
Right.
But it means demon people of the flame. So when they was trying to figure out a way for the Catholic Church to control that, that's when they sent Khadijah and Waraka and them other Catholics to tutor Muhammad. Right? And so they say Muhammad the only prophet ever went to the Arabs, right? Where did Abraham come from?
Right. But man, based on what I'm seeing there, based on the story, based on the maps, man, if it was Abraham, he had to be over here.
Abraham is an acronym. Ab means heart in Kemet. Right. Ra means the Most High Father God.
Yeah,
Kim is the same root word. Ham means dark, black. Remember, Osiris was called the Lord of the Perfect Black.
Right.
Right. So when you translate Abraham, right, then it's Ab, Ra, Kim, heart of the black God.
Very much. Makes sense.
The irony of that is that Isis is the heart of the black God, according to the book of the Coming Forth by Day, where Ra referred to her as my heart. He also gave her one of his eyes. And he also called her all of those epithets that they call Jesus in the New Testament.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, Rod, because it's a story, a part of our Nana's story where she goes to the underworld for 3 days and 3 nights. And she tell her homegirl, I think it's her name is, it was Nep is one of her names, but it's another name that they call her in the Sumerian tongue. But she tell her that, hey, if I don't come back in 3 days, go for help. Go find Inky, somebody that can get me out of here. But it seems like they took that same, because that story predates the story that they got, the Christian line. But so it sounds like they took that 3 days and 3 nights story from our Nana, from Isis.
Okay, so now
to Jesus, yeah.
You look at how long do the moon stay dark? From crescent to crescent. Yeah, waning moon. Waning moon is when the moon is fading away. Then you got dark moon, and then you got first moon when you first see it again. How many days between the final phase of the waning moon and the first phase?
28 days, right?
3 days.
Oh no, 3 days, yeah. 2 and 6.
Okay, now when you're looking at the moon worship, it's secondary. It's magic,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the same as solar magic, but it's upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Silver key, the lunar key.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're going through the 3 days in the underworld, it's represented by the 3 days, the darkness of the moon, which is when the energy from the moon Lilith permeates again, and the woman can then tap into the Lilith energy. And remember, Saturn is the lord of the underworld. Lilith is the moon of Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
So for 3 days you don't see the moon. That's pre-Islamic Middle Eastern folklore. That was where the moon went for 3 days.
And that make because a lot of the I noticed a lot of the stuff that they doing is dealing with motions of the moon or the sun, like even Passover. When they pass over the 33 degrees longitude, they celebrate Easter. The Christians call it Easter. The Jewish people call it Passover. But it's all dealing with the motions of the sun. But the elites and some of the clergies, high-ranking clergies, they know this information, but they get paid 501c3s, skull and bones agreements, to lead us, lead the sheeple, and say, "Oh no, Jesus, give me $25. Jesus gonna come back now. I'm telling you, I seen him in a dream. I seen it." Them niggas be selling, they sell it, bro. And then look, what really hurt my feelings, and I'm still hurt about it. Cause I came up as Christian, right? My granddaddy was a pastor. Both my granddaddy, my mama's mama, daddy, and my daddy, they both had their own church. And once I found out that King James sent the goons on us, it really hurt, man. And then I found out that the Inquisition is the colonizers. The Inquisitionists is the Christians. They're the main colonizers. Christianity is the main colonizers around the whole world. They the one that really colonize people.
Listen, the ones who control the religions, they're not none of them religions.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna get. I know what you're getting at. Go ahead. Go in.
Right. The Black Hand control all 3 branches of those monotheistic Abrahamic religions.
Right.
Right. They all serve a purpose at a different time.
Right.
Right. So when you activate them to serve the purpose you created them for, you have to create the phenomenon that they need to see to verify that you the one.
Right.
So they see all this phenomenon, but they not seeing the one.
Right.
But they ain't supposed to recognize it when they see him no way.
Right.
They're supposed to think he crazy, batshit crazy, and don't know what he talking about until they find out he know what he talking about, and then they gonna be like, whoa. Right? It was foreigners that latched on before we did.
Right.
People from everywhere else, because they already wrote, prophet of God was not without honor except in his own home among his own kinsmen.
Yeah,
the one wants to see what your skill set is. They ain't gonna understand it because it's gonna be above their pay grade.
Right.
But they gonna think because it's above their pay grade, it should be above yours too, because you grew up in the same village, house, neighborhood, block, projects. So you couldn't be that much different than them. But you know, you can raise the game dog in the pack of curs. It don't matter. Right. Raise a game dog in the pack of curs. He don't know that they all curs. That's his pack. He don't care.
Yeah.
But when it comes time to get down to business, he the only one getting down to business. The rest of them are ran under shit.
That's right.
That's what we dealing with. That's what it's like growing up a chief among regular people. because you always the game dog, tell how ready to scrap, and then everybody else is running.
I haven't seen it.
Well, where they going?
I seen niggas take off running with the gun on them while we fighting. They got a gun. He take off running with the gun. Man, what you going, man? Pull it. Come on, man. So he got the gun on. He running. Come on, man. We out here getting toe out. Yeah. That thing. Yeah, hey, bro, I'm gonna want a couple more. We got about 20, 15 more minutes. But I'm gonna run like 2 or 3 clips back to back. We'll talk on them, then we'll take what he said that these Native Americans, well, the people that they saying Native Americans, said that when they got there, they already seen. I'm thinking that they call them the old Mississippians, but they said that they was Egyptians. They really was the old Mississippians though. But who is these natives? They're saying they came 100 and some years. I'm thinking it was the Huns or whoever. Somebody even had to come before the colonizers came. And I know Hussein came, but that was on the West Coast. But who came to Memphis on the East Coast before this 1492? That were good guys and said that, oh yeah, well, these guys were Egyptians here before we came. That's interesting, man. What you think about that, Rob?
Yeah, well, you gotta remember, we was already doing trade across the Pacific with the Asian community. You remember me a long time ago, like the reason we got all these people named Lee in our family is because it's an ancient contract with the Asians.
Yeah, I can even see the
right. Yeah, and so they had already been coming over here. And that's how they was able to be informed. The ones who took sides with us was informed by the ones that they was dark from being over here. They was still dark with straight hair or hollow hair, be more accurate.
That's right.
Right, but they was the ones who was telling the newcomers the instructions of the land. You ain't allowed to change the name of Memphis.
Right.
Right. And you got 2 cities of the sun. You got Miami and you got LA.
Right.
You got one city of thieves. That's the city of thieves, which is Chicago. And then you got Memphis. Memphis wears heart on his sleeve. That's why its name can't change. Memphis is Memphis because it's always going to be Memphis.
Right.
And you go down there with them shenanigans if you want to.
And a fight come with it. I'll tell you that down there.
You outsiders can't run Memphis.
Yeah.
So all you gotta do is take your tough ass down there.
Yeah.
You find out. Yeah. If it's got places like that, like LA. If you go out there respectable, them gangbangers some of the coolest people to hang out with. But if you go down there on that bravado shit, they gonna test your gangster. They gonna test your gangster, and they got a different gangster to test you at every level you want to be tested on.
That's the truth right there. Hey, y'all, we'll take some questions from the crowd. We'll take about 5 or 6 questions from the crowd, and then we'll get out of here.
Before that, so you heard them mentioning the word Tamiri.
Yeah, Tamiri, yeah.
Tamiri means the land of Mary.
Yeah, that's right.
Mary is another name for Isis or Offset.
That's right.
You got to remember that when you read the Jesus story.
That's right.
Mary is the mother.
That's right.
Emmanuel is the son.
That's right.
But they ain't following the son. They following the mother throughout the story. But if you understand character flaws, you can see the difference in when the son talking versus when the mama talking. The son is telling the dogs to sell off your garments and bob swords and knives, preparing to take the Roman soldiers to war. Right? The mother is the one that's saying, love thy neighbor as thyself. Right? If one smites you on one cheek, you turn on the other. That's the mother. She's showing grace. And it's a play. The original script was a 21-part play written by a first century writer named Josephus Flavius. This is where your Gospels and your Acts come from.
Right.
Right? They didn't have television. So they used to act out stories in plays. The most legendary story was the works of Josephus Flavius.
Right.
That was telling you a fictitious story about everybody watching the return of the Anointed One. Right? The Anointed One can only be anointed by the mother.
Right.
Right? And so the mother got to anoint the son. That's 13-7. Queen Mother sealed the 7 sons, 7 seed. Now, if we knew more intimately the details of the holy drama, when we see these stories, we know what character is supposed to be there and who did they replace them with. If you go back to Genesis, when Cain got kicked out of the garden because he killed Abel.
Right.
So then Adam and Eve got another son. You remember his name?
Seth.
Because Seth was a replacement for the loss of Abel. Remember?
Right. Right.
Okay, now, when you go down the name chart of what Seth naming his children, then you go down the name chart of what Cain is naming his children.
Right.
They start turning into the same names.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
All the way to the two-ball Cain. Why do they start turning into the same name? That's called usurpation.
That's right.
You name your children. This is an old Anunnaki thing. It's all in the way that Enlil and Enki operate and trying to take each other's birthright.
Yeah, Enlil said this in the Lost Books of Enki. He told Cain, Nertu to go tell Cain to start doing it. In the Lost Books
now,
yeah.
When they start naming them each other's names, this is to trade the places in the historical record. Remember, they lived thousands of years. We only live 100. If we lucky. And then they poison us now to cut that in half to about 60. Right? So we lived 60 years. After we came back 10 times, that's 600 years, and they done been here the whole time, telling the same lie.
Right.
Right? We got to figure out that they told the lie. But we got a short amount of time to do it. We got about 50 years. Right? Because we only can tell the story after that 50 years for about another 12 years, and then we done met our mortality rate. Right? Now, they telling us that Helen in Greece was the goddess. I'll tell you who her parents is. They even have the Hellenistic wars fighting over Helen of Troy, who's named after the goddess Helen. Okay, now, when you get to Rome, Helen is no longer a woman. Helen is a man in Rome, in the Roman pantheon of gods. So now they even switched them out. That's called beheading the god. Right? So when they switch them in the historical book, they got to give you the clues to put the god back together. Put the head back on the rightful god. We know that the Helen in Rome is an imposter because it came after the Helen in Greece.
Right.
Right? Now, how do we find her? We have to know Kemetic history and writing. So we know that the princess that was sent from Egypt was a Sa priestess, a birth maiden to civilized Greek when they built the first university on the island of Crete. And we know that that she came with two sisters because it's in the historical record in Kenya, right? And so the culture is named after the goddess or the daughter of the pharaoh who is going to teach the culture to these people. And it was originally a matriarchal culture, by the way. Now, they call Greek culture Hellenistic culture, right? Now, when you go to the Avengers, when Ragnarok happened, they released Hela. No longer Helen, it's Hela, right? From the underworld, and she came to reclaim her throne. Okay, now, so we know that three sisters came. So where is the Greek lore about the three sisters? It's the lore about the three Gorgons, right? And we know that the ranking system in Egypt went 10 as number one, and one as the graduate or the beginning, right? So Medu is 10 in Kemetic. Sa is the birth priestess. So now we know it's Medusa in the Gorgons, who is the three sisters that left Kemet to settle Egypt. And the description is that when they seen Medusa, she turned men into stone. Right? But really what they telling you is she was so beautiful that when a man looked at her, he froze in his place just long enough for one of his sisters to take his head. Right? But they exaggerated the story by saying that they turned into stone. They didn't turn into stone. They just was captivated by her beauty.
Right. Makes sense.
Right. Now, they tell the story that her hair was serpents. Those were what they called the sacred locks. They became known as the natty dread. That was in reference to the Mau Mau, who was in Kenya fighting against, I think it was the English. And they assembled the Mau Mau, which is the ancient code of conduct for warriors, to take no prisoners. Right? And when they seen those dreadlocks, it was too late. And any survivors left the legend of the natty dread. Right? Contemporary with that, you have a Rasta movement developing in Jamaica. And a lot of the elders who left Kenya came there with dreads. And it became part of the cultural identity of the Rasta movement because of the ancient Mau Mau. The ancient Mau Mau can only be called by a high priest in conjunction with a war chief. Once you take your oath as a Mau Mau, you ready for whatever. Right? So the dreads, the fear of the dreads is the fear of the warrior, which traces back to Medusa. And this is why they're saying that she had serpents on her head, because she was able to control her electromagnetic field. You ever seen a Tesla ball? The lady touch it and her hair stand up? That's electromagnetic field. You can do that and control your hair when you all the way full 100% mitochondrial driven. That source energy pulsing through your veins. That's your X-Man gene. Your junk DNA that was deactivated using science and birth editing programs in ancient times. Now we're seeing the result of what was done back then and who we are today.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted us to be more compliant, more docile, and more quick to negotiate so they can continue to step on our head, kick us in the balls, and kick us down the flight of stairs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We decided that we gonna be kind, we gonna be courteous, but you put your hands on me, I'm gonna break your back.
Right.
That's it. It's not personal. I'm gonna meet the force that you push towards me times 10. You try to choke me, I'm gonna snatch your head off with my bare hands. Right? So now, because Big Mama say turnabout is fair play, that means if they did it to me first, I got the right to do it back to them.
Yeah.
And if it's instant karma, they can't call it revenge. Because there was no malice or forethought. So you being already thought about it before it happened. So if it happened, you already know what to do.
Yeah.
Don't waste time to give them a chance to analyze your mind. Deal with the situation, get it over with, get the fuck on. So when we go through those patterns are the MO of the captor. Whether it's the name swapping, the identity theft, the rewriting of a story to confuse you to its proper meaning, right? To draw your emotions to the degree that you suppress your intellectual thought process. They want you to start feeling before you think, but you're supposed to think your way through your feelings. But nobody never told us when we were babies that when we get angry, we still got to remember to think so we don't make foolish choices.
Right.
But when we get to be adults, without that lesson, a lot of us find ourselves behind bars in short order.
Right? That ain't funny, but that's true, though.
Yeah. If you don't know how to think, you're going to end up being a victim. Whether you want to be or not. And a lot of people think they're the predator until the predator come get their ass. Now you sitting here next to the prey. We in the carry together.
That ain't funny, but it's true. I'm telling you. Somebody said.
Go ahead,
And I said, somebody said, can you ask Rod what's the relationship with ISIS, Jackson, and Mississippi? Yeah, because ISIS is in Mississippi. Like what?
So,
like, yeah.
ISIS, Mississippi is ISIS territory. It's called Bigfoot territory, right? Because of a compact between ISIS and the Enkiduites. I don't know if they know who that is, but there was a compact between ISIS and the Enkiduites where they could roam the forest unmolested by humans. If when she need them, they can show up to help her. That's ancient. That go all the way back to the Atlantic, right? The Enkiduites have also intermingled with humans and had children with them.
Yeah.
After 2 generations, the Hertzism, one of the side effects of being mixed with Bigfoot DNA, start to subside, right? But you still see the remnants in what we call the hairy back motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So when you talking about ISIS is the goddess that every god loves.
Yeah.
So when she called on them, they don't know how to tell her no.
Yeah.
Right? And well, yeah, because he wanted to be her.
Yeah.
Oh, cross-dressing ass.
Yeah.
Okay, now he even giving into her complaints most of the time.
Yes, I do.
Most of the time, he do what his sister tell him to do.
That's right.
But this Earth situation was too valuable for the survival of Nibiru. He didn't want to hear it. He thought that the best way to control it was just through military regimentation and the systems that the military for efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
The military systems is used for efficiency, right? And the rapid training of those who don't know into an expert in the fastest amount of time, because they don't got 2,000 years to live. They only got 100. So they got to be on accelerating learning programs for everything military structured. So anyway, the Jackson part. Jackson is Masonic.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reference to the pillar of Joaquin. Joaquin and Boaz are the two pillars, the severity and the mercy.
That's what.
The Jackson comes off the Joaquin on the blue house. But there's a red house version as well. Then you have the name Mississippi. Mississippi breaks down is Miss Isis on pi. Pi means standing on your post, center of the circle.
Pi.
And Mississippi is Mrs. Isis. Is standing on pi.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So we're looking at a coded message coming through the Masonic Lodge, primarily off the Blue House, which is the father line, which is a political aspect of the tribes. But we use it to determine which tribe is advancing into the forefront. So the whole of the South, where we call it the fertile region of the South, is the land of Isis. But when you start moving north, you start calling it Bigfoot territory. Bigfoot, in turn, gives you Louisiana, the big boot, the moon boot, because it's telling you what energy to harness. It's the reason that it's in that line of demarcation. Whereas the stiletto boot is Italy. So it's the moccasin facing off with the stiletto. The tribal moccasin is where you get the design for what we call moon boots. Right? And you can see them in Mesoamerican artwork real clear. That's the design of Louisiana. Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama is the Three Sisters territory. But Alabama is the father line's Red House territory. Which is Alabama is Ali Baba, the great father. Right? And Louisiana is French. And it's saying the daughter of Louis. Right? Which takes you back to one of the French monarchs. In the renaming of Louisiana. So the territory remained the same, but the name being changed. Just like they changed all of the tribal names from what we told them our name was to what they told us it's going to be. Because they didn't never think we would remember that we was those tribes. Even with the misnomers, we still able to identify from our territory where we come from.
Yeah, Rob, we already over time. We had 2:15. That's pretty good, though. I think this was a good one because we needed to talk about the switch, the 3-card Molly on the maps. So I guess my last question would be: so when do you think they started the switching of the renaming stuff? I don't think it happened with the first colonization, the Spanish. I think was the Black Conquistadors. That they were the first ones, or did people that come over here that we're allowed to mix in with us, like Ho Chi and them, did they got a little plot of land? They said this was it, or did we even call it? Did we even have names for the land? This is just our land. What did we call it? You know,
the land is generally Mother Earth. But the way that it sounds different is which tribe is pronouncing it in what language.
That makes sense. Hit that like, y'all. Hit that subscribe button. Hey, if you want to show Rod Hayes some love, we got his Cash App on the screen. We know we need Rod. We don't need him working on the plantation. We got about 2,000 people in here right now. If we could get some of y'all, at least all, if everybody can send them $5, that'll put them in the game for the rest of the month, man. Or if like everybody send them $1, that'll help them out. We'll take whatever you got. Show some love. We'll be back. Hey, what else you got? Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Rod?
Yeah, I was just talking about something and I started coughing.
Yeah.
Trying to remember what.
Oh, you was talking about it was about ISIS, the boot, Mississippi. Somebody drop it in the chat. The land. Somebody dropped the land.
Oh yeah. So the same way some tribes call their big mama Madia.
Yeah.
Some call her Ma.
Yeah. Nana.
Some call her Nana.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Some call them TT.
Mm-hmm.
We all know we talking about Big Mama though.
Mm-hmm.
When the boy be out, my nana said, we know he talking about his Big Mama. We know he not talking about his mama.
Now Nana's right there too.
Yeah. So it was the same way with how we referred to the land, Mother Earth, Father Sky, right? And the name changes became part of the documentation. Mm-hmm. Just like we used to all call ourselves either kinfolk or we the people or the people. And they use that in their slogan for the Constitution as part of their hypnotic seduction, because when you translate it into any other native tongue, it's going to tell you the name of the tribe.
The folk.
The real name of the tribe. But most of it translate into English as we the people or the kinfolks.
Yeah. And we still do it today. I still say down south, we still say, hey, my folk. You know what I'm saying? Hey, folk.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do that.
It's all over. It depends on what vein of the land you hit. Because like some parts down there, they be like, yeah, they're my folks. And then there's other parts that they're my people over there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's still the same. The culture didn't change. We just forgot how to read it. Because we could see our tribal roots in everything we do. Until we got divided. That's when it started fading. Post-civil rights.
Yeah, well, highlights off of this one. Said a lot of highlights. I got this new thing where I can cut the clips.
So make it shorts.
Yeah, it's gonna make the highlights. I'm gonna make some cold highlights. Cause I got all my
elections to get the candidate they want in office that'll do business with them, telling us that the elections that we rely on has been tampered with, as if they had no way of knowing this to be true.
What?
If a person invent something and they tell you it work a certain way, and you're going to have to rely on what they told you it was invented for in order to know how to use it. They've been doing that, and they've been using political assassinations. I think it was either Gerald Ford or Ronald Reagan put a moratorium on state-sponsored assassination of foreign heads of state, because the CIA was assassinating or assisting in the assassination of so-called third world leaders around the world to keep puppets in power that they could control. Mm-hmm. The first president that was assassinated when I think Clinton was the one who left the moratorium because it had expired. He didn't reinstitute the ban, and the next thing you know, a Manchurian candidate, the nephew of the late Laurent Kabila, assassinates him in the royal palace. Right. He is known to be a CIA asset as well. So when we looking at political tyranny under the form of a democracy. Every time they go to wreak tyranny anywhere else in the world, they say they're going to take democracy to them. Yep. And the only thing they take to them is blood, guts, and gore.
That's right, though. It ain't funny. That's the truth. Everybody speak out against it. Everybody country that they go and take their sovereignty. It's about taking your sovereignty and putting you under the spell.
Yeah, so that sister you played earlier, I have been watching her. Somebody had sent me her, one of my homeboys sent it to me, and then I had been already up on her.
Yeah.
But I went through it and was looking, and she's still fighting the same fight we was fighting 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to get the
like, we already, but she doing her thing. She know what she's talking about, and she come with the receipts.
Yeah, I got more clips of her. Very important about people waiving their rights, because a lot of times when I ain't no better, I used to go into the court, just sign whatever they say, and then go along, how to pay, get in line like the rest of the sheep. So could you go in on people waiving their rights without even knowing it? Not even understanding their rights or whatever. Go ahead.
Those are the adhesion contracts. Okay. We talk about adhesion contract. Adhesion contract is an ex parte contract. It's a one-sided contract. You don't have any choice but to do the contract if you want to perform the function. Example, we don't use the music industry. If you don't sign the contract, Universal is not going to put your record out for you. You have to sign the contract first. Right? Now, if it's another outlet for your music, probably, but they don't have the same reach. The leverage is with the record company. Because the record company is not there to make music. It's an advertising agency that you hire to promote your music. Right? But they give you the impression that they the ones with the product that you need when you the one with the product they need. And by using the contract, the 360 contract, you turn it on his head. They use the contract to systematically steal your master so you can't benefit from your intellectual property in your twilight years. They take control of it after so long and stop paying you. They give you trinkets, and then they keep the big cut of the money. Right? This go all the way back to Scott Joplin and sheet music when it was a penny a page. Right? That was before they came out with printing records. They showed sheet music. People had to know how to read and write music back then in order to perform. And you didn't have an instrumental that you can slide into the player and go out there and rap your song over it. It wasn't cut like that. Everything was, you needed to know the notes. And see, over time, they took us away from the notes. Because the musical notes, studying the musical notes, you tune in the frequencies that you forgot you could tune into. So they had to cut that out. But it's the same thing. They have to use the system to enforce a contract that you never signed. None of us signed these contracts. The driver's license is an adhesion contract. The Social Security card is an adhesion contract. Your bank's account where they're taking interest out is an adhesion contract. You're forced to use the banking system because they shut down all of the family banks. That was another catalyst to the war against the North and South. Remember, Frederick Douglass financed the bank out of his pocket for the South. in one of the Carolinas, right? Because we had our own banking system, they couldn't come in with a levies and lien system, right? Because we had our own banking system. It became later known as plantation money. You're me, Elder.
It's my next question, Rod. The Census Bureau. She mentioned the Census Bureau. Cause I remember when I used to look it up and then see how many Nubians in America, it always used to like have us as the less people. And I used to like that can't be right. It's more than us than it is anybody else over here. And a lot of the people don't even do the census. They don't even sign up. A lot of like I didn't even do the census for a while. So it's like half of our people don't even do the census. So what is the strategical gain and white supremacy aim on line on the Census Bureau about it's more white, 70% of America is white. I looked up a Census Bureau and it said 70% of America is white.
You know, that can't be.
I know white is a status, you know.
They can't be 70%. I'm gonna tell you why. So-called African Americans make up 13.5, and so-called Hispanics make up 13.7 now. Then you gotta remember you got Asians over here. You got so-called Native American $5 Indians over here that's not classified as white.
Mm-hmm.
So that reduces that 70% drastically. So we talking more like if their numbers are accurate, it would have been more along 60-something%. But remember, white don't have nothing to do with skin color. It got something to do with classification and law.
That's right.
Because it's a lot of people that look like us, all of them ain't classified as other than white.
That's right.
They got whole communities of people that look like us, but on paper they classified as white.
And they get mad at you for coming over there if you ain't white.
Yeah, they don't mess with people that look like us unless you one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody played this video out of California, and they were sitting there talking about moving us. They didn't want us to move in California because we make people like us look bad or something. They were saying they didn't want them in their community,
right.
But it was based on poverty. But the principle's still the same. The census is out of the book of Leviticus, or the book of Numbers, I think it is, where Moses was told to number the people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason you count the number of people is so that you know where the resources go.
Uh-huh.
And that's the true intent is allocation of resources, but the military intent is to number where people are for strategic control measures, right? They know that a certain percentage of us not doing no census paper because we don't believe in their system.
All right.
We never want to participate, but by adhesion, they was forcing us to participate, the outlaw tribes.
Right.
So now we have to pretend to go along to get along until we can find out how do we get out of this conundrum. And it take a whole lot of thinkers a long time to figure it out.
Right.
But we gonna figure it out.
Oh yeah, we nailing them in, man, one nail at a time. Right when we hammer right on the nail. We hammering them right on the nail with this one.
Yeah,
Noble Jew Ali doing like this right here. Yeah. Return of the Republic. Enforce the Constitution. That's gonna end them. Noble Jew Ali said once we enforce the Constitution as a unit, the game over.
Yeah, because the Constitution invests the right in the people. It don't invest the right in the government. The corporation invests the right in the government first, and then it placates to the people to pretend to be there for the people. Just like the police. Talking about they there to serve and protect. No, they there to break a brother's neck.
On color of law. Number
You
color
know.
of law.
And you gotta remember, the Bloods and the Crips was born out of police brutality.
That's right.
To defend against police brutality is children of the Panthers.
That's right.
And the only way to do that is you had to establish a strong community tie, which gave birth to what we call today gangs, sects. All of the sects was there to resist the tyranny of the police, so the police infiltrated the sect and started turning them against each other by killing each other off. Basic infiltration 101.
Somebody just said,
Hey, we walking them to their doom, man.
ain't nothing they can do about it. Like, they should have been ended this, but they waited to the last minute. So it's like it's a hard go out. They get kicked out instead of walking out. They could have walked out, but now they get kicked out. You know
they still got to do the perp walk. They got to be exposed. They got to be exposed to the public for the dirt that they did.
Right.
The birth certificate is what you call a savings bond or an investment bond. The birth certificate is used in international trade, what they call batch stock trading. It's not done on the national level, it's done on the international level. We're familiar with the New York Stock Exchange. Most of us not familiar with the International Stock Exchange because at the international level, they are no longer trading in millions, they're trading in billions and trillions. And used to be a boat that sat in a bay outside of DC that used to return all of the birth certificates, bonds to the Crown of England to be put on file at it's a Swiss banking complex. I forget the name of it, but they take it there and then they leverage loans against the birth certificate for the labor of the person named on the certificate. They also do batch trading in death certificates because they know that death is an illusion and you don't never really die, you just change bodies. So you still have an energy reserve that falls under necromancy. And this is why your mortgage is called a death pledge, right? The root word being morgue, where you take the dead. The death certificate is your morgue certificate, which is your mortuary certificate that they can trade against your decomposition rate. And based on your decomposition rate, your birthday and death date, they calculate how long it's going to take you to reincarnate. So it's active until you reborn, and they know it's you because you're going to come in at a specific time on a specific date in a specific geography. They're going to have a general description of what you were, and it's going to give them a general description of how you're going to return. And from that general description, they can narrow it down by the children born in the area. Let's say it's going to be a male child born to two very dark people, so we know the male child is going to be dark. So we know we're looking for a dark male child based on the stellar alignment. He should come back on this day at this geography. So then 3 babies is born. 2 of them is girls, 1 of them is a boy, but he's born light-skinned. He's still the right one because he's the only boy, and they was looking for a male child to be born. It's just that they can't calculate accurately every aspect of the return. But now, let's say it was 3 boys born. 1 dark-skinned and 2 light-skinned. They're going to focus on the dark-skinned, but they're going to observe the light-skinned. So they're looking for character traits as the child develops. How is he going to act when exposed to the education system? Is he going to go along to get along, or he's going to be a problem without trying to be a problem? Right? If he's already a problem, he's probably not going to be able to be controllable, which means he's an independent thinker, which means there's a problem here. We need to neutralize him. We need to miseducate him as fast as possible. So they don't put you in accelerated learning. They put you in the slow down learning classes where they can still teach you at a remedial rate to indoctrinate you to their system of control to try to compel you to go along, but it don't always work. We went over this on several occasions where the Moors come from, and we trace them back to Menachem and Enlil, and that's part of the Yaqub story. Yaqub, or Jacob, being one of the chosen of Enlil to replace the children of Enki, and they did it through the breeding program, and they left people look like us in charge. I wanted to call them something else out of it, but
Hello.
what they're doing behind the scenes when the government shut down, they determining the auditing. When the government is not active, it's the easiest time to audit because no finances are moving.
Yep.
So if it's a leak in the drain, it'll be the only place the finances are moving. So anybody that they haven't got up until the point of the shutdown, they looking to see who's moving money now through the government when the government shut down, and that's going to expose the final guillotine of the fall of the cabal.
That's what I see too, bro. I see the same thing. The Taínos, their involvement with the tribes before the conquistadors.
I don't understand the question part of it because it's a statement about a question they have, but they didn't ask the question. But speculatively, Dominican Republic and Haiti is one island, one people, prior to the conquistadors and the Huguenots. The Huguenots are the French. The French invading force and the Spanish invading force attacked two separate sides of the island and met in the middle. This is why you got the split. And the Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans, the Haitians, the Jamaicans, the Grenadians, all those islands down there was trading with South American, North American mainland tribes long before the sailing of Columbus.
That's right. Way before.
One of the first things they interrupted was what we call the Gulf of American trade. It was to stop us from trading among each other so that they could steal everything we was trying to trade. So we always had good relations. The only reason why it's a conflict between the islands, the Spanish-speaking people, French-speaking people, English-speaking mainlanders, and people like from Central and South America, the only reason where there's a division came in is because they control us by divide and conquer. That's right. They can't rely on us being unified. That's why they never teach anybody that look like me about people like Che Guevara. We have to learn that through our own channels. Yeah. They don't teach us about Emilio Zapata. They teach us about Pancho Villa the sellout. Yeah. Right? And they talk about Cesar Chavez, but we think he a fighter. We didn't know he was a activist fighting for farmers' rights right alongside the civil rights struggle. Mm-hmm. Right? They don't teach this because they don't want us to parallel our struggles and see who the real enemy is, the colonizer. That's why I brought up earlier about the wealth of Mexico that the people don't receive no benefit from. Because the poverty drives people to do some real foul things.
That's right.
By eliminating poverty, you eliminate 90% of crime.
That's a fact.
And then the 10%, you can resolve it without long prison terms because either you deserve death or you don't. If you don't, we're not gonna lock you up for no 50 years. That don't even make sense.
All right. Somebody said, "Does getting baptized was I guess if is getting baptized part of the use of us being dead at sea? Please enlighten. Much gratitude to both."
Just the baptism ritual as we do it does not originate with the church.
That's right. We had it over here way before they ancient Kemet. It's part
Voodoo culture gave us baptism.
Go ahead, Rob.
Baptism, okay, water for us symbolized spirit. The submerging of the vessel in the water is symbolic of pushing you through spirit to become a new person when you come out. It's the same thing as when you perform a peyote ceremony, mushroom ceremony, or ibogaine ceremony. The goal is for the new person to be born from the old person. In the baptism, it's symbolic of being a new you being submerged in the spirit. And that's why in the book it say in the final days you will be baptized by fire and spirit, not water. Mm-hmm. Right? Water was symbolic of being in the age of Pisces. You had to be submerged under the waters of Pisces in order to come up able to see underwater, so to speak. So the baptism had a practical application in the Vadun culture. The AME Church and the Southern Baptist Church had to adopt the practice different from the Catholic Church because the people who they were usurping